Welcome back to Murder with Friends for this final part. Today we're talking about the tragic murder of Selena Quintanilla. I'm joined by Jason Carter, and where you are picking up with us, we are going to be talking about this trial. This was an incredibly publicized trial. I have no memories of it, but when I was doing all this research, they were comparing it to the OJ trial. It is still one of the biggest trials in the history of Texas. Also, a lot of times on the show, when we talk about the subsequent trial of a killer or after a crazy murder case, I'm a little disappointed with some of the holdups that make the legal system and process just go and drag on. But if you remember, Selena was killed in March. The trial took place October. So this was actually some pretty swift justice, and I think that you see the people of Texas being really pleased with that. They felt that they had a lot of evidence. Again, we talked about in part 2 a lot of witness corroboration for the events that took place. And so there was no reason to really hold up this trial. Let's talk about it. What were some parts of the trial that stood out to you? Maybe the position of the defense, the witnesses that brought up?
One of the things that stood out to me was Yolanda's defense, how it was a completely different story when she was going to trial, that she was defending herself, that Selena was possibly trying to harm her. That really bothered me. I mean, the trial, again, it was a short trial. You know, you don't mess with Texas.
It was only 11 days.
11 days, that's quick.
October 12th to October 23rd.
For a first-degree murder, that's very quick, because normally with cases like that, you have so many different elements that come into play. You have forensics, you have all these things, but with this, it was like, listen, woman, you killed her, but for shits and giggles, we're going to just do this trial.
Well, and I think they had to pin down a motive, and that was actually a little murkier than you would assume. I know that we established what you might think would be a murder in part 1 and part 2, but there's been a lot of questions about that. We actually have a video element prepared, so let's go to that right now.
Because Yolanda Saldivar testified that the shooting was an accident, she will have the right to request parole in March of 2025. However, many questions remain about Saldivar's motives. Scroll through the comments on any of her interviews and you'll see fans tearing apart her stories and calling her a liar. So what is the truth? This year, Univision reported, quote, "She killed her because she wanted to feign an assault to avoid going to jail and, above all, not have to pay her the almost $200,000 she had stolen during her administration of clothing stores and the Selena fan club," end quote. The root of all evil. Was Selena's life taken for money?
So Jason, now I just toss it over to you. Was her motivation as simple as money?
I think her motivation was, in addition to her mental instability, I think it was for her not wanting to be disciplined or held accountable for anything she did. I mean, stealing, embezzling upwards of almost $200,000 over the course of 2 to 3 years is a lot of money. And what was so bizarre to me, though, is murder. You would take someone's life instead of just fessing up to stealing money. That's what bothered me the most, is that you're that low of a person that you're willing to harm another individual over money.
Yeah. And I think that the prosecution in the trial did a really good job of establishing premeditation. And I would encourage you guys to check out, there are some videos of the lead prosecutor just addressing the jury. It might be in an opening or closing statement, but I was telling Jason before we went to tape, he's so crystal clear in how he outlines what Yolanda did and her motivations for that they assert, that it almost feels scripted, but I don't mean that in a bad way. It just means that he knew all his points and marks that he needed to hit. He establishes, I believe the gun was bought 4 days prior to the murder, and how that is premeditation, that is clear premeditation, talking about the financial stress and how there was really, Yolanda probably felt there was no way that she could pay that, and so she's sort of staring down this hole. On top of that, the emotional burden of losing someone that, to call her a friend, to call her a dear friend, is sort of diminishing, because that's not really how she viewed Selena.
No.
Selena was her
everything,
idol, her everything. She had welcomed her into this whole colorful new world that Yolanda had never been a part of anything like that prior to this.
Absolutely.
So the prosecution really does a great job of this. The jury only deliberates for 2 hours before she is sentenced to a life imprisonment, but she will be eligible for parole in 2025. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the media. I don't think she's going to get parole, because I think in order to grant someone parole, you have to show that there is remorse.
Right.
We call them correctional facilities, that their behavior has been corrected. But all her lies persist to this day.
Even now, Grace, in 2017, Yolanda is still telling people that she's innocent. She's still telling, or she flip-flops. It depends on who she's talking to. I've read some accounts where she's admitted to what she did, and I've also read accounts to where she's saying, no, it was still an accident. So I don't know what's going on with her mental state in 2017, but she still claims that she has this dark secret of Selena's, that she had, that was one of the reasons why Selena also, and Yolanda's story was trying to keep her at bay, was trying to keep Yolanda from defecting from the Quintanilla family because Selena knew she had this dark secret. Now, some say that was Selena being pregnant. Some say that it was Selena and Yolanda were actually a couple. I've read that. Who knows? But
it's not true.
It's not true.
When you say like, who knows? I think we can all assume
it's all lies.
Anything she spews is
right.
a lie.
It's lies. But I'm just saying, like, just in addition to the ridiculousness of what comes out of Yolanda's mouth, we don't know where she's. What I mean by who knows is like we don't know what she's gonna say from day to day.
Yeah, but it doesn't show any sign that she is remorseful
at all
for her actions. If you can't own up to what you did, or even offer an honest explanation for what you did, how are we supposed to believe that you are reformed? Right,
and even in prison, she is held in maximum security. She is often alone because people are, I mean, you killed the most famous Tejano pop star ever, okay? And even though that was over 20 years ago, people are still a little pissed about it. So in prison, she's causing trouble. She's suing for all kinds for weird reasons. She fell out of her bed. She's suing the correctional facility for $200,000. She's just a hot mess. But yes, the jury, you only had to look at Selena. You only had to look at her, all the good she had did, what she gave to the world, to see that this was a woman who, even if you found something to not like about her, which was really hard to do because Selena was fantastic, you couldn't ever see her being an aggressor, being a person who would want to harm someone intentionally. That doesn't seem like in her character. If you watch her videos, if you watch interviews, Selena had this warm, friendly charm about her that was just so, like you said, you grew to love her during your research on this. There was a reason you did, because she was just a good person. So when the jury came to their verdict, it was rightfully so. Talking about it, Grace, I remember when she died, going to school. I was in high school when Selena died, and I remember walking into the concourse and all these people were just crying. And I was like, what happened? Selena died. And I had heard her music, but I never knew the impact she had. Yeah. I never knew. I had a friend named Consuelo who was a huge Selena fan. She would always sing. There was a song by Selena called Si La Quieres. And she would sing the song all the time. And Selena was this role model for, like I said earlier, she was someone who these girls saw themselves in. The same way we see ourselves in stars that we attach to. I see myself in, any star. Selena was this person who told these girls that you could be whatever you want. And they all identified with her because they all had dads that were hardworking. They all had strong ties to her family. So the jury probably saw that too.
And I would also like to think that even if she wasn't, but even if Selena was an awful person, there's just so much evidence that Yolanda was guilty that they were able to put her in jail for life.
Yeah, technically there was.
Oh, there absolutely was. But it does, it does bring up Selena's legacy, and oh my God, I've been wrestling with these questions about how she has become such an icon and how it's beautiful but oddly tragic that she is not around to see how iconic she's become. Demi Lovato and Kim Kardashian both went as her for Halloween this year, and that's a small thing compared to you go on iTunes and you see all her music is there and you see it. She was #1 on Billboard after she passed.
Well, let's go prior to that though, because Selena was breaking down walls and tearing down barriers prior to her death. She had first Mexican American to win a Grammy ever for her 1993 Selena Live album. You had Entre a Mi Mundo, which was the album like Janet Jackson's Control album of 1986 that showed the world that I'm independent now, I'm a woman. The album had themes of female empowerment, being powerful, asserting yourself, as well as unrequited love and heartbreak. You had Amor Prohibido, which had the hit Bidi Bidi Bom Bom.
Yeah.
So then that set up the stage for what would have been a huge crossover for Selena, because Missing My Baby was her first foray into that in 1992. And so EMI Latin, the powers that be, realized that, hey, this is someone that the world needs to see. This is someone that could have mass appeal. The subsequent Latin pop explosion that would follow in 99 and 2000 with Ricky Martin, Shakira, Jennifer Lopez, who, hello, Selena, J-Lo, you're welcome. Selena gave you your life. Hate to say it. Just kidding. But no, Jennifer Lopez really benefited from the Selena movie, and she did a fantastic job portraying her. Selena was a trailblazer. And even till this day, you have people in Espanol. They did a commemorative issue. People magazine did a commemorative issue for Selena after they put the death of Selena on the cover of the magazine. It sold. Historically sold. So they did a commemorative issue, which sold even more, and that prompted them to put out People in Espanol, which is still in publication today. So Selena, in death, yes. So sad that we had to come to love and know and just experience such a wonderful human being and their gift of music and their gift to humanity after she died. But the positivity, if you want to look for positivity, if you want to look for a silver lining in all this, Grace, is that her gift is still giving. You know, and her music is timeless. I love Dreaming of You so her posthumous music releases really became massive sellers, and Dreaming of You for me was the song that was going to solidify her as a crossover star, and it did. And to me, that is a song that I always listen to and think like, yes, thank God for Selena, thank God for her gift of music, because there hasn't been another since.
What do you think it is about human nature that we sort of immortalize musical icons after they meet these tragic ends? I think of like Kurt Cobain, I think of Selena, I think of John Lennon, and they become our appreciation for them, it oddly becomes tied to their tragic end. I don't know why that is. I wonder if it sort of has something to do with just this morbid fascination that exists within all of us.
Sure.
Or sort of when we think of stars and how they burn out bright, you know, these stars that went out just when they had so much more to give, and it leads your mind to wonder what could have been.
Right.
I don't really know, but I do know that because Selena was taken from this world before her time, I think of Aaliyah as well. Tupac, Biggie, people we've talked about on the show before, you know, it makes you wonder about their iconic status. It's sort of, it's a mind for fuck. We'll beat that out. You know, like because it's like, wow, I want them to stay, but now we only understand them as these immortalized icons that you see on T-shirts and that you see. You know, my understanding of Selena was I would see her at like on Target T-shirts. You know, they have shirts of, and I was like, oh, I kind of know Selena. And then doing my research for this episode, just like weeping when I was listening to her music. And there's something about it that I'm like, would I be crying if she was alive today? Well, I don't know.
That's a great question.
It's such a weird emotion to wrestle with. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, Grace. It's very weird. I think what it boils down to is that we get used to these people being there. It's just like if Oprah died.
You take them for, maybe you take them for granted.
No, you absolutely take them for granted. Michael Jackson, these are people who we got used to being in our ear in pop culture.
Yeah.
We're used to seeing them all the time. So when also death and murder off top at jump is alarming. When you hear that someone's been murdered, especially a celebrity, because we put them on this pedestal, we give them this status, we give them this notoriety that not everyday people get. Murder's bad, but when a celebrity is murdered, it's like, oh hell, a celebrity's murdered.
You know what I think it is? I think it taps into this visceral emotion where music is so, like music touches you in a place emotionally that is hard to even express.
I agree. Right.
You know, when you love a song, it really changes you. And then on top of that, to know that they are gone, that it's almost like you're hearing them from beyond the grave, speaking to your innermost desires, and you know, whether she's making you dance or making you cry or make you think about an ex, you know, just to know that she has that ability just with her voice. And just she's gone. It's fascinating. I'm not sure I don't know how to feel about it. It's really messed me up this week preparing for this show.
You know how great. You're right though.
So final thoughts, Jason.
Final thought is this. I echo what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. Music is such an intrinsic part of our being. Music is the soundtrack of our lives. It colors our lives, right? So when you have a musician who has, again, I always say, has given us the gift of music. When these artists create these albums, when they write these songs, those are labors of love, and they're doing it for their fans in addition to for their artistry. And when they're gone from us, that's all we get.
Yeah.
Now we're kind of doing what Yolanda Saldivar was trying to do and hold on to them, trying to keep a piece of them, because their music, believe it or not, is a piece of us. Yeah. It becomes a part of who we are. So when these stars like Biggie, Michael, Tupac, John, Aaliyah, Selena, when they're gone, we don't get to experience them new anymore. All we can do is just hold on to what they have. Like they say, you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Oh God, that's a really beautiful and poignant note to end on. That's gonna do it for our show today on Selena. We wanna hear from you guys in the comment section below. Are you a Selena fan? Maybe list off some of your favorite tracks for people that hadn't heard her music before, and we can celebrate her that way. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more Murder with Friends, and we'll see you next week. Hey guys, if you like Murder with Friends and you want to support our show, we have a special offer from our parent network, TYT. So head over to tytnetwork.com/gift and you can get 3 months of TYT membership for only $25. What do you get with that membership? You get a lot of exclusive Murder with Friends content. You can download all our episodes. You can listen to them as podcasts. We have some discussions and entire episodes that have never been up on YouTube. So if you're interested in that, head on over to tytnetwork.com/gift. Merry Christmas from all of us at Murder with Friends. We hope it's happy, but also spooky.